Welcome to a divine revelation of success. You are not here by accident. You didn't stumble upon this message. You were drawn to this moment at this time because your destiny demands more. There's a reason your bank account doesn't reflect the dreams inside your heart, because the world hasn't yet seen the version of you that is fully activated, walking in power, purpose, and financial abundance. And let me tell you something powerful. Wealth is not reserved for the elite. Wealth is a reward for those who understand and apply the laws, yes, the scientific laws of success. Let's be clear. Being broke is not your identity. It is a temporary condition. But staying broke, that's a decision. The only reason you're not rich right now is because you've been operating with broken systems, flawed thinking, and outdated models of effort. But today we're going to replace hustle with wisdom. We're going to replace trial and error with proven principles. This is not motivation for the sake of feeling good. This is strategy backed by science, encoded with divine power. See, when you understand how God wired the universe, when you comprehend the spiritual and scientific alignment of your mind, your beliefs, your actions, and your results, you unlock a whole new level. And guess what? You don't have to wait 10 years. You don't need a college degree. You don't need a loan from the bank. And you definitely don't need someone else's permission. What you need is revelation and then application. Wealth is attracted to order. Money flows to value. Prosperity is the byproduct of alignment. And scientific study, real principles, not theories, can teach you how to go from broke to rich quickly, because it exposes the repeatable, duplicatable, scalable laws of transformation. The key is not just learning these laws. It's internalizing them so deeply that your mindset, your speech, your habits, and your vision start to align with success. When that happens, you don't chase money. Money chases you. You don't work for opportunity. Opportunity works for you. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So buckle up, lean in, open your heart, stretch your mind, and prepare to receive a download of wealth, building truth. This isn't just about getting rich. It's about becoming who you were designed to be, because the person you are today is not yet capable of receiving the life that is waiting for you. But after this message, that version will be born. Everything you're experiencing financially right now is the direct result of something you've done or failed to do. That's the law of cause and effect. It's not a theory. It's not a maybe. It's an unbreakable law that governs the universe. And until you recognize that your current financial situation is the effect, and your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are the cause, you will remain stuck, frustrated, and confused about why your results never change. But the moment you take responsibility and understand that money responds to order, intention, and energy, everything starts to shift. Wealth doesn't just show up because you want it. Wealth shows up because it's been earned, not just through work, but through alignment with the right causes. Think about it. A farmer doesn't sow thorns and expect roses. They don't plant nothing and pray for harvest. They understand that planting precedes reaping. Likewise, if you are not planting seeds of value, discipline, vision, and service, how can you expect a harvest of abundance? Scientific study backs this up. In physics, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In neuroscience, consistent input creates consistent neural patterns. In business, repeated offers create repeated opportunities. This means that wealth is not a mystery, it's a system. If you engage the system correctly, the system produces results. But you can't engage it sporadically, emotionally, or with doubt and expect compound return. You must become intentional, consistent, and disciplined in what you do every single day. That's the cause. Wealth is the effect. And let me go even deeper. Because it's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. Your identity is the root cause of your actions. If you see yourself as broke, limited, or average, your actions will mirror that belief system. But if you begin to shift your identity to a wealth creator, a solution provider, a value multiplier, your actions will elevate. You will show up differently, speak differently, think differently, and the effect. Money begins to flow to you because it is drawn to the version of you that is operating in truth, clarity, and authority. The law of cause and effect also means you don't have to guess your way to success. You can study wealthy people, their patterns, their decisions, their habits, and you'll find that they're not lucky. They're not superhuman. They're just aligned with the right causes. They make decisions that increase value. They use their time to multiply outcomes. They speak with confidence. They act with boldness, and they track results. That's not emotional hype. That's replicable science. And if they can do it, so can you. The greatest limitation keeping most people broke isn't their background, their education, or their current income. It's the way their brain has been conditioned to think. For years, you may have been told that success is for other people, that money is hard to get, or that wealth requires luck or connections. Those thoughts, repeated over time, created mental pathways, neural highways, that became automatic. And now, even when you hear truth or opportunity, your brain filters it through the old belief system and rejects it. But here's the liberating truth. Your brain is not fixed. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through focused repetition, new experiences, and intentional thought. That means you're not stuck with the mindset you were raised with. You can change it. You can break free from scarcity thinking and install wealth consciousness. You can stop reacting like someone who expects lack and start responding like someone who creates overflow. But it's not magic, it's science. Your brain adapts to whatever you consistently feed it. If you keep rehearsing fear, doubt, and limitation, those become your dominant patterns. But if you interrupt those patterns and replace them with thoughts of abundance, value, purpose, and power, your brain begins to rewire itself. And soon, new beliefs produce new actions, and new actions produce new outcomes. This is why wealthy people think differently. It's not that they were born with a special brain. It's that their brains have been trained to process information, risk, value, and opportunity in a way that creates success. They see money as a tool, not a problem. They view challenges as opportunities, not threats. They expect to win. And because their brains are wired for success, their behaviors follow. They speak with clarity. They take strategic risks. They surround themselves with growth environments. All of that is the byproduct of neuroplastic training. So how do you rewire your own brain? You do it through repetition with emotion. You don't just say affirmations, you feel them. You don't just visualize success, you experience it in your imagination as if it's already real. You expose yourself to new environments, new conversations, and new standards. You challenge every belief that tells you wealth isn't possible for you, and replace it with truth that aligns with your destiny. And as you do this daily, your brain begins to reorganize itself. New neurons fire together, old patterns weaken, and over time, your default thoughts begin to align with wealth instead of worry. This is not hype. This is science, and the sooner you embrace it, the faster you accelerate your journey from broke to rich. Because when your mind is renewed, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your results change. And when your results change, your life transforms. It all starts with the brain. Rewire it, and you rewire your reality. The rich don't just have money. They have minds that know how to multiply it. And now, so can you. Most people hear the word compounding and immediately think of money. And yes, compound interest is one of the greatest wealth-building tools ever discovered. But what if I told you that compounding applies to far more than just dollars and cents? What if you could leverage the power of compounding in your habits, your skills, your mindset, and your value, and in doing so, accelerate your journey from broke to rich in record time? Because that's exactly how the truly wealthy operate. They understand that small, consistent actions, when done daily with intention, lead to massive, exponential results. The human brain is designed to underestimate what can be achieved over time. We want everything now. We want the big payday, the viral success, the instant transformation. But wealth doesn't show up all at once. It grows gradually and then explodes. That's how compounding works. At first, it looks like nothing is happening. You're putting in the work, showing up every day, learning, practicing, applying. But the external results are small. That's where most people quit. But what they don't realize is that growth is happening under the surface. Skill is being sharpened, character is being built, value is being increased, and when that tipping point comes, the results multiply rapidly. Imagine improving just 1% every day. That sounds insignificant, right? But mathematically, if you improve just 1% daily, you become over 37 times better in a single year. That's the compound effect in motion. Now apply that to wealth. If you build a high-income skill for 30 minutes a day, if you read and study financial principles consistently, if you make a few more offers, a few more connections, and track a few more metrics, each day you are setting yourself up for a break, through that others will call luck, but you'll know was compounding. This is why habits matter. Every choice you make, every routine you establish, either compounds toward wealth or compounds toward poverty. There is no neutral ground. Eating junk food one day won't ruin your life, but doing it daily for years will destroy your health. Likewise, skipping one sales call won't bankrupt your business, but doing it often enough will cost you every opportunity. Wealth is hidden in the daily disciplines, the decisions nobody sees. Do them long enough, and the world will have no choice but to notice your results. The same goes for value. The more value you build in yourself, through knowledge, expertise, problem-solving ability, the more the market will reward you, and that value is built the same way as financial wealth. Over time, with intention, and with discipline. You don't need to make giant leaps. You need to make tiny steps daily, deliberately, and with vision. If you want to escape financial struggle and step into abundance quickly, there is one undeniable path: mastering high-income skills. These are not optional. These are not luxuries. They are necessities for anyone who wants to go from broke to rich in the shortest time possible. And here's the good news. These skills are not talents you're born with. They are learnable, teachable, and completely backed by data and science. With focused study and consistent practice, anyone, yes, anyone, can master them. Let's start with selling. Selling is not manipulation. Selling is the transfer of belief. It's the ability to help someone see the value in what you offer and confidently guide them to make a decision that benefits them. Scientific research shows that the most effective sellers are those who listen deeply, ask the right questions, and understand human behavior. That means selling is a psychology-based skill. The better you understand what people want and why they hesitate, the more effective you become at closing deals. And guess what? Selling is the highest paying skill in the world. No matter your industry, if you know how to sell, you will never be broke again. Then there's persuasion. It's not about tricking people. It's about influencing them with truth and clarity. Persuasion is rooted in neuroscience. The brain responds to stories, to contrast, to certainty. When you speak with confidence, when you illustrate value with examples, when you handle objections calmly and logically, people respond. The science of persuasion shows that people don't buy the best product. They buy the product they believe in. That belief is created by how well you communicate value. Leadership is another high-income skill that transforms your income and your impact. Great leaders don't boss people around. They inspire movement, cast vision, and create momentum. Leadership is a skill rooted in emotional intelligence, psychology, and behavioral science. When you learn how to lead yourself first, your thoughts, your habits, your attitude, then you earn the right to lead others. And when you can lead people, you can build teams, scale businesses, and create leverage. That's how wealth multiplies. Communication is the thread that ties all these skills together. Whether it's in writing, speaking, negotiating, or presenting, communication amplifies everything. Science shows that people decide within seconds whether to trust and follow you. Your tone, your posture, your clarity, your confidence, it all matters. When you know how to communicate effectively, doors open. Opportunities find you. People listen, trust, and act. These high-income skills are not reserved for the elite. They are available to anyone willing to study, practice, and apply with intensity. You don't need a 4-year degree to learn them. You need hunger, focus, and the willingness to push through discomfort. Because while others are chasing shortcuts, you're building skills that print money for life. The difference between the broke and the rich often comes down to decision-making, not just the big, obvious choices, but the thousands of micro decisions made every single day. What to spend time on, what to say yes to, what to avoid, what to invest in. These choices shape your destiny, and they are not made by accident. Wealthy people make better decisions because they've trained their minds to think differently. And this is where behavioral economics becomes your secret weapon. Behavioral economics is the science of how people actually make decisions, not in theory, but in real life. It exposes the biases, emotions, and habits that influence how we spend, save, risk, and invest. The research is clear. Humans don't make purely rational decisions. We are emotional creatures. We procrastinate. We fear loss more than we value gain, and we often choose comfort over growth. But once you understand how your brain is wired, you can interrupt those patterns and begin conditioning better behaviors. Rich people have learned how to create decision environments that lead to success. They don't rely on willpower. They design systems, they set rules in advance, they automate good behavior, they eliminate distractions. They study the cost of inaction. In other words, they use behavioral economics to shape their own psychology and create momentum in the right direction. Take something as simple as spending. The average person spends based on emotion and instant gratification. The wealthy delay gratification. They train themselves to distinguish between wants and investments. They ask questions like, will this generate a return? Does this align with my vision? Is this decision moving me toward or away from my goals? That type of internal dialogue can be developed through repetition and reflection. Another powerful concept from behavioral economics is anchoring. People tend to rely too heavily on the first piece of information they receive. For example, if you grow up hearing that $50,000 a year is a good income, that number becomes your anchor, even if it's not enough to create real freedom. Rich people re-anchor their expectations. They study different models. They spend time around people who think bigger. This resets their mental standards and allows them to see what's truly possible. Then there's the power of defaults. In behavioral science, we know that people tend to stick with whatever option is easiest or most automatic. Wealthy individuals set high defaults in their lives. They automatically invest a portion of their income. They default to productive routines. They default to saying no to low-value opportunities. These defaults make success automatic, not optional. You don't have to be a genius to make better decisions. You just need to become aware. Start by identifying your current patterns. Are they leading you toward wealth or away from it? Then create new triggers, new anchors, and new systems. And repeat them until they become instinct. There is a small but powerful part of your brain that most people never hear about, and yet it determines nearly everything you notice, respond to, and attract. It's called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS, and once you understand how it works, you'll realize that wealth isn't just about working harder. It's about tuning your mind to see what others ignore, because your life is filled with opportunities right now. The question is, can you even see them? The RAS is like a filter. Out of the millions of pieces of data your brain processes every second, your RAS decides what makes it through to your conscious mind. It pays attention to what you've told it is important. That's why when you buy a new car, you suddenly start seeing that same model everywhere. The cars were always there. You just weren't tuned into them. The same principle applies to success. Wealth, ideas, mentors, solutions, and connections are all around you. But unless your RAS is tuned to notice them, they will pass right by you. Most people unconsciously program their RAS with poverty, fear, and limitation. They say things like, "I never get a break," or "money is hard to make." And their RAS filters reality to prove that belief true. It begins to overlook opportunities, reject abundance, and highlight struggle. The brain loves consistency, so if your dominant beliefs are rooted in lack, your RAS will find evidence to support it, even when abundance is within reach. But when you deliberately reprogram your RAS, everything begins to change. This isn't wishful thinking, it's neuroscience. You do it by setting clear intentions, visualizing outcomes with emotion, and speaking what you desire with conviction. The RAS doesn't respond to vague ideas. It responds to clarity, repetition, and emotional energy. So if your goal is to earn $100,000 a month, you must begin to visualize what that looks like, feel the reality of it, speak it as already done, and act in alignment with it. Over time, your RAS begins to scan your environment for ways to make that goal real. It might bring a person into your life, a podcast, a video, a course, a moment of inspiration. You'll start to notice patterns, trends, and gaps in the market. The world didn't suddenly change. You just began noticing what was already there. And that's the power of a properly activated RAS. The wealthy don't have more opportunities because they're lucky. They have more opportunities because their minds are trained to notice, value, and act on them. You can do the same, but you must feed your RAS with new information, new expectations, and new beliefs every single day. Read things that expand your vision, watch content that raises your standard, surround yourself with conversations that reinforce your goals. Every input is programming. Once your RS is aligned with abundance, you no longer chase money. You start recognizing doors others walk past. You become a magnet for the resources you once believed were out of reach. And just like that, your brain becomes the engine for your wealth. Let's bring this all together now, because you've just been handed what most people search for their entire lives but never find a clear, actionable roadmap to go from broke to rich. Not over decades, but in the shortest time possible. This isn't hype. This isn't theory. This is strategy backed by science, reinforced by experience, and powered by timeless truth. And now that you know it, the question becomes, what will you do with it? You've learned that wealth is not random. It's governed by the law of cause and effect. That means you're not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your results. Every financial breakthrough begins with a decision to plant better seeds of discipline, value, service, and strategy. Your current bank balance is not your destiny. It's just a mirror of your past causes. Change the causes, and the effects must change. That's universal law. You've seen that your brain is not fixed. Through neuroplasticity, you can literally rewire your mind to think like the wealthy, act like the wealthy, and attract what the wealthy attract. You don't have to repeat the patterns of your past. Your brain can learn, it can grow. It can be trained to expect, seek, and create abundance. You are not stuck. You are in transition. The difference is intention. You've been reminded of the power of compounding, not just financially, but in your habits, your skills, and your mindset. Small things done daily aren't small, they are everything. Wealth doesn't show up all at once. It builds silently, then shows up suddenly. Your job is to stay consistent, stay faithful, and let the momentum do its work. You've discovered that high-income skills are the fast lane to financial freedom. Skills like selling, persuasion, leadership, and communication aren't gifts, they are tools. Learn them, sharpen them, and watch as your value in the marketplace explodes. When you master these skills, you don't chase opportunities, you create them. You've understood the critical role of behavioral economics in shaping your choices. Rich people aren't just lucky. They've conditioned themselves to make better decisions. They've trained their minds to delay gratification, anchor to higher standards, and default to winning habits. And now you can too. Decision by decision, you are crafting your financial future. And finally, you've awakened to the power of the Reticular Activating System, that unseen filter in your brain that determines what you notice, what you ignore, and what you attract. When your mind is tuned to wealth, abundance becomes visible, opportunities appear, solutions show up, and you no longer live in reaction, you live in creation. So here's the truth. Everything you need to become wealthy is already inside you. You were born with purpose, you were designed for greatness, and now with science, strategy, and faith working together, your breakthrough is not just possible, it's inevitable. But remember, knowing is not enough. Transformation only happens through application. So start today. Start now, plant new causes, build powerful habits, rewire your mind, master the skills, upgrade your decisions. Tune your focus and watch as the life you once dreamed of becomes the life you live every day. Because you weren't created to stay broke. You were created to build legacy.